Rubber band is on it.
This next Saturday, we're about to continue. Thank you.
Rubber band is fine. It's not staying. Which one are you using?
All right, if you're outside, please come in. Let's get seated and settled. And there'll be a trash bag going around. Please make sure you empty your trash into the bag, please. Let's all get seated, please. All right, please, let's empty our trash into the trash bags that is going around. So let's do that quickly. Okay, so you're welcome. Please get seated. Can we be quiet, please? Welcome back, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the short break. We're back to start the next segment. I'd like to confirm that those online can hear me. Can they hear me online? Online, can you confirm that you can hear me? So this next segment, we will be having four sessions, and we will start immediately. We'll kickstart the first session. And the first topic for the afternoon session is contextualizing teaching and learning. And to take us is Francis Bizoza, widely known as the African traveling teacher. He's a visionary educator, social entrepreneur, and Pan Africanist on a mission to transform education across Africa. As the community engagement and training associate at Learning Equality, he works to bridge education gaps in underserved communities through culturally rooted, tech enabled learning experience. Francis championed the integration of African culture, history, and identity into classrooms as is a catalyst for global citizenship education. He leads cross-cultural school partnership, creating platforms where African and international students engage in collaborative projects to solve real-world challenges. Known for his continental-wide travels, Francis documents inspiring educational innovations and community stories on his popular YouTube channel, amplifying grassroots voices and showcasing Africans' excellence. Let's give a TETC welcome to Francis. Please let's celebrate that as he kickstarts the first session. Great to have you, Francis. I don't know if you can hear me.
Thank you very much. I would like to confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, yes, we can. We can hear you.
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. So, this very afternoon, I am pleased to take you through a session or a topic or a discussion under the topic contextualizing teaching and learning. And to me, this is from local stories to global learning. But I would like to start by telling you a story of a boy who failed to see his own village. So there was a boy that I've encountered in my life, and he went to school every morning with his backpack on the back, a number of counter books and pencils and pens, learnt a lot and got to learn about Europe. He got to learn about the Canadian prairies. He got to learn about the history of the great emperors of Europe. But so unfortunate that he forgot the hill behind his home, could even hardly tell its name. And this is a story that, as teachers, I would implore us and educators to keep reflecting about as we dive into this session. So, when Francis encountered this young boy, when they joined university, they did not want to be a teacher, but they met a teacher at the university who changed their life and they fell in love with teaching, having spent about 2 or 3 semesters pretending to be students of law, yet they had enrolled for an education course. And that teacher is Olivia Mugabirwe. With that quick reflection piece about this young boy who knew all about Europe and didn't know a hill behind their village, and then along their career met a teacher who turned around their life, I would like to pose a question to us. Where does actually learning begin? If there is anyone who is able to access a microphone to speak, feel free to speak. If there is opportunity to text and share your thoughts about where you think learning begins, I'd be very happy to hear your thoughts. I can see, yes, there is a chat room, there is a comments room. I would love to tap into any thoughts that you have about where you think that learning begins. Those online?
Physical. She's the one who's singing anything. You guys are tired.
Where does learning
Where does
begin?
that begin?
Is that really a very hard question for us?
Oh,
You have an answer? Give this guy.
Did I miss that?
Hallelujah.
sorry.
Good afternoon. Learning begin from belly.
From belly.
Learning begins
From belly. From the
from the
womb.
belly,
From the
from the
womb.
womb. Okay,
Yes.
interesting. Thank you so much for trying. I'll give a chance
Amen.
to one last person.
Okay. Is it on? Hello? It's not on.
We
One
can
more
hear
person
you.
is coming. One more person.
Awesome.
Okay. I think learning begins at home, but this other man that just said learning begin from the womb, I think he has a point there. Because I started teaching my daughter, who is 14 years old, from the womb. And at 3 months old, I was teaching her with flashcards. And at age 1 year, 1 month, she could identify letter sounds, numbers, and some words. So it starts from the womb.
Quite interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. My hope is that probably by the end of the session or by the time we finish this, we'll have a better about learning mean. This is really so slide.
Was that one that was having issues?
I would love every community is a session living textbook. Why do I start with this? Like we have had one of our members of our colleagues sharing learning begins in the womb. Well, it probably does because when a mother is bearing a child, their behaviors, whatever they do, affects the child in the womb. So sometimes we bear children who emulate behaviors of the experiences we went through during the pregnancy. So who knows? Maybe yes. So I would like us to, start off by imagining the great classroom that surrounds us, our community, our road to the school, the gardens we go to, the instruments we use to play for music, different pieces of art and craft that we create. All these together form the greatest classroom. But the reflection for us should be how do we privilege these as classrooms for our learners? So, like noted, every community is a living textbook. And let's continue to imagine and think how every community is a living textbook. And let us brainstorm together. Having in mind that every community is a living textbook, having in mind that learning actually can happen anywhere, I'd like us to take a few minutes to think and brainstorm and ask ourselves, as teachers, think about the different classrooms where we go, where we deliver learning, where we deliver teaching. How are we contextualizing learning? Sorry for the typo, it should have been contextualizing. How are we contextualizing learning? So if you have opportunity, if you have access to the chat room, kindly feel free to text in your thoughts. If you're able to speak, if you can write on a piece of paper and the person with the microphone can speak, feel free to do it. But I would love us to briefly brainstorm how we are contextualizing teaching and learning in our respective classrooms. Just 3 minutes for this.
Anyone?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me get some. Charlie.
Okay. Um, thank you. Okay, so how I contextualize my teaching and learning is I relate whatever I teach with real life situation. Take for instance, I am teaching fraction in class. I use what the kids know, like pizza, orange, and then I connect what I'm learning with what they experience in real life.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing what you do in your classroom to ensure that you contextualizing learning. Any other contribution?
Um, is it responding? How we contextualize teaching and learning is basically seen from the perspective of how we relate with the learners in class, how we deliver our lessons, basically. So, how do we drive home the message we are actually delivering? Basically, if it's a government lesson, or you are teaching arms of government. You can use pictorial excerpts. You can use practical life cases, like for Nigeria, the National Assembly, um, like going there for a picnic or something to see how the National Assembly look like. That's the perspective or the way you actually deliver your lesson. That is how I can contextualize teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. I really appreciate that by sharing on how you could probably move the students to a government facility to see what happens there. I have another response in chat, and Judith says that we can contextualize teaching and learning by using chat and hands-on activities and the use of real-life activities. That is response that we have coming from the people who are attending online. I'll read the second one for us to save time. We have Ogochi says, as a SEN teacher, CSEN, social emotional something, I guess, I contextualize teaching and learning by adapting lessons to each learner's needs, special education needs, each learner's needs, abilities, and real life experiences. I use familiar objects, visuals, routines, and the student's interests, make concepts meaningful, break tasks into smaller steps, make learning so every pupil can access life. That is their submission. They're sharing how they contextualize. I am hoping as we brainstorm and as we go further into this discussion, we are going to pick insights and concepts on how learning and teaching and learning is being contextualized in different contexts. We'll probably share a little bit of what happens here, and happy to learn from what is happening in Nigeria and also from different other countries that have joined this session remotely. But please feel free to keep those answers flowing on the chat. I try to read a couple of them as much as possible because we need to understand how are we doing, how are we contextualizing teaching and learning, and probably maybe we might want to first understand what contextualizing teaching and learning means. So, my second question is actually, what is contextualized learning? By understanding how we do contextualize teaching and learning in our context, what definition can we come up with for contextualized learning? Anyone who would love to quickly? Meanwhile, as someone comes up, I have a few other interesting responses in the chat, but if someone is ready, feel free to go for it. So we have Paul in the chat. He said, contextualized teaching and learning means you anchor it in three things: the learner, the word they learn, and the purpose behind it. And maybe probably this is bringing us close, most likely bringing us closer to the meaning of contextualized learning. Then we have Bridget who says using a CEO who owns a company and its operation to describe sales. Quite interesting answers. Without wasting time, let me share with us what I came up with or what I thought contextualized learning is. Anyone who would be willing to read it out for us? Anyone willing to read for us what my understanding of contextualized learning? I would love this to be an interactive session because it is after lunch.
Learning that begins with learners' lives before connecting them to the wide world.
Thank you
Wider
so much.
world.
So thank you so much for that. So learning that begins with learners' lives before connecting them to the wider world. And at this very particular point, I want to reflect again about the story of a child I told you, a story of a boy who always went to school every day, knew a lot about Europe, knew about America, knew about the rest of the world, but did not know the name of the hill behind their home. That's where I derived this definition or this understanding, my personal understanding of what contextualized learning is. A learning that begins with the learner's lives before we even connect them to the wider world. Before we teach them about Lagos as a city, do they know the nearest town in their village? Do they know how to get there? Do they know what problems exist in that village? Before we teach them about heavy population in the big cities, before we teach them about the crimes, the robbery and everything, can we help them understand the crimes that happen in their immediate neighborhood? Can they find solutions for those ones? To me, I felt that once we start thinking and teaching in that direction, then we are making learning contextualized for our learners because we are mentoring and nurturing them and facilitating learning for them because we would love them to solve problems within their context, within their village, before they solve problems that affect our countries. Now, this is a simple illustration I managed to get using AI that would help me illustrate what contextualized learning would look like. I don't know if that image there makes sense to any of us in the room on this session. If it does, please give me a yes in the chat. And it actually, I feel that that image aligns with the response we just got online saying that teaching contextualized learning is teaching in a way that connects lessons to learners' everyday lives, experiences, culture, and environment so that they can easily understand and apply what they learn. Does this message, does this thought rhyme with the picture, with the illustration that we have on the slide? I think yes. All right. So I also wanted us to have a quick look at our traditional classrooms and what we would call contextualized classroom. I'm hoping everyone is able to see the slide, but you realize that in our traditional classrooms, we have the teacher who is the founder of honor, who uses textbooks to teach, and then at the end of the day, they give exams to the learners to measure how best they can remember what they learned and write it down in the exams. Vis-a-vis, on the other hand, a contextualized classroom that leverages its community, leverages the ideas, leverages the culture, leverages the stories, leverages the infrastructure of their community to pose questions to its learners, to their learners, to ask them, look here, in our community we lack this, in our community we have poor soils, in our community agriculture is not doing well, and this is where we would make a livelihood. What could we do to ensure that we improve food production in our community? This derives to contextualized learning. If we have our students coming home on a daily on an empty stomach, what questions do we pose to them to ensure that we are solving this problem of hunger, of poverty in our communities? Who else are we waiting for to come and solve these problems except us as facilitators, as orchestrators of learning, as designers of learning experiences, as the teachers? How do we prompt the learners we have in our classrooms? How are we helping them understand their community, understand their context, so that the knowledge they acquire in the classroom becomes a benchmark for them to innovate, to think, to bring up solutions that solve problems in their communities before they go to solve problems of big cities as architecture, as engineers, architects and engineers. Before we send them to solve problems in the wider world, how are we helping them understand that they can actually solve problems within their context? Which I think this is why we should start thinking, how are we contextualizing learning for our children? How are we delivering our lessons? How are we doing the teaching in an approach that is based on the context, on the communities where our learning centers are, where our children come from, based on their interests, based on what is farmed in that area, based on the kind of infrastructure that exists, based on the problems that exist in this community. So I felt this would really be a very thought-provoking topic and session for us, looking at the challenges that we have on the continent, the challenges that we have in Africa, being looked at as the poorest continent, yet we are actually the richest continent. How do we nurture a generation of children, a generation of students who understand that actually Africa is rich? Actually, Nigeria is a mineral wealth country. Uganda is a mineral wealth country. Uganda is endowed with natural beauty. Africa is endowed. How do we actually harness the potential that our continent has before we start thinking about running to look for jobs in the US, in Europe, dying on the seas, getting there and being sent back? Yet we have actually much more than we can privilege on our continent if we contextualized teaching and learning. So there is an image, a picture of me holding a basket. But I would love to pose a question about this picture. And the question is, what subject is this? If you were to look at the basket, what subject would you think it is? If you were to use it in the classroom, what subject would you have this taught in as a learning aid? Any ideas? What subject would you think this basket is relevant to?
Good afternoon, Mr. Francis. I think, okay, cultural and creative arts. Cultural and
Culture and
creative
creative.
arts. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's go ahead. I see art and design in the chat. Any other thoughts?
Okay, I would say it can be in different subjects. We can be in CCA, that's creative and cultural arts. It can be in social studies. It can be in home economics and other subjects. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the contribution. I can see art class. Any other trial before we go to the next? I'm so happy to see everyone. I feel so proud. I feel I should have been in that room, being part of teachers, I want us to keep celebrating ourselves to know that teachers will make a remarkable contribution in the world. The question was, what do you think, which subject do you think most applies for the basket that I'm holding in the picture? All right, I give it a few more seconds if there are any people who are typing or if there is anyone who wants to say something. Okay, creative arts. So it rotates about arts. So now, before I share agriculture, interesting. So before I share my thoughts about probably what this basket subject could be, allow me to play this video. I am hoping it should be able to play and the sound comes through. So the tech team, you let me know if the sound is coming through. Is the sound coming through?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Hello, there's no audio from the video.
This is good. That's
Hello, there's no audio. We don't have audio here on this side. There's no sound on our end. So.
I'm so sorry. There's no sound, but the sound was actually, there were no words. The only person who spoke in the video is the young girl the African young girl you saw in the environment picking some grass, and she was showing how they make a local basket. And right from picking the grass to when they start weaving a basket and when it is complete. If that makes sense, I would love to pose a question. Based on this image that I showed you, watched, can I sense of the two? A volunteer who can make sense of the two. Because we are talking about, we're trying to understand in which subject this basket belonged to. But based on the video we have watched, uh, it's okay, don't mind about the audio. The only words we had in were for the young African girl who was explaining in the video about how they make a local basket, how they weave a local basket. Those were the most important words that I would have loved you to pick from this video. So with that, is there anyone who would want to give it a shot to give sense to this video and the basket I showed you in the picture at first?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity.
I lost the sound, the audio. I lost the audio. I can't hear you, my dear. The audio is still off. So sorry, I missed that. If there is anyone in the room who is logged in and they could help transcribe and text that in the chat room, I would appreciate it. But unfortunately, I didn't pick. I hope you can hear me myself. Someone asked what's the question, but the question was, I wanted someone to try to make sense between the picture I showed when I'm holding a basket and this video that just played. However, because of tech, okay, now the audio is back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Give it to him.
the audio is back.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
I just put it on.
I want to say thank you. I'm enjoying your session, actually.
Oh my goodness, I lost you again. I last heard that you were enjoying the session. Tech. Next time we should have a full, complete in-person conference, I guess. Okay, I have someone responding in the chat. Gloria, I'm sorry the audio went off. I can no longer hear you. I'm so sorry, but whenever you have a chance, feel free to text.
Not touching it. I'm not touching it. Just give it like that. Which one is good?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Oh my God, it comes once and then disappears. And you have such a beautiful voice. So I would love to note that it is so unfortunate that the audio has completely gone, but I will love if you can text me your thoughts either on LinkedIn, or I will share my email at the end, but I would really love to understand what you're putting across. But I would love to take this opportunity to read what I have in the chat at the moment. Gloria says, using what they have to create something. The grass used to make a basket. The girl sourced for the material from her community to create or make a basket. She was able to translate it into a real life use. Thank you so much. And then Judith is also saying, I hope you can hear me, right? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. At least I can see the video. Beautiful. So Judith says they were taught about how to make a local basket in class and they were asked to make a local basket. Beautiful. But let me quickly make sense of these two comparisons that we are making. So you have heard about the African traveling teacher, the name, and probably if you have had a chance to read a little bit, but one of the things I do when I travel across the continent to tell stories of inspiring teachers is to connect these teachers with. So in one of the projects where I was in school in Uganda and a school in Beijing, they wanted to share knowledge about their culture, about different artifacts, different pieces they make in their culture. So the students in Uganda made instructional videos of how they make local art pieces. And one of the lessons that the students in Beijing loved and enjoyed was the video of making a basket. That's how you saw that young girl describing picking grass and showing how they make a basket. And then the students at the Western Academy of Beijing watched this video and they used resources within their context. In Uganda, we used spear grass, but in Beijing, they used hay to make a basket. And this is how we are able to transfer knowledge and skills of weaving a basket from one corner of the world back here in Uganda, southwestern Uganda,
Will mute. That means it's about to mute.
to Beijing. Can you hear me? Did you hear me? Hello? Are you hearing me? Yes, so I was saying we're able to transfer skills from Uganda to Beijing. Why do I bring in this basket and this comparison at this time? When we hear technology, we think that technology is holding gadgets. We think that technology is having a computer in your classroom. But technology is actually us being able to use what we have to create stuff. There is a lot of technology that is involved in weaving a basket. But still, even not that, for the students in Uganda to connect with students in Beijing, for them to come up with all these videos and these activities, there was an enabler. And that enabler is, anyone who wants to guess what the enabler was that linked these two groups together? That is still now the technology that we know, the technology of computers, the technology of smartphones, the technology of internet. That was the enabler. Why do I want to make this point here? Oftentimes, we are looking at technology as a tool that has come to replace the teacher in the classroom. No, and 100% no. Technology is a tool that has come to make the work of the teacher easier. Why am I emphasizing this? In my experience, especially here in Uganda, we have had teachers get scared of leveraging technology because they think it is One, it is difficult. Two, they think it is going to take away their jobs. No, it is coming to make our work easy. Me and you know that as teachers, we are not paid very well. As teachers, we have a lot of other things to do. But we can actually leverage technology to simplify our work as teachers if we look at it as a tool that can assist our work. I don't know if I can see the video. I wanted to see a thumbs up if everyone is with me. Very good. Thank you so much. So with that, allow me to now dive into tech now and how it can help us contextualize learning. What you see, the students we saw is that school in Uganda who had, through their activity, through their cultural canvas project, the students in Beijing used their art skills to make wood prints, and then they auctioned the products they produced in their school and raised up to about $4,000. Then they sent me that money. I used that money to buy technology for the students in this Ugandan school. And that's when you see those two pictures of the students holding tablets. This was a picture of, this was 2024, and it was the first time these students saw technology. So as teachers, if we don't bring technology in our classrooms, especially in contexts where we don't have technology, how are our learners going to learn to get introduced to tech? But on the other hand, we need to keep in mind that technology didn't change education, but it connected communities. So technology is here not to change how we teach, not to take us out of the classroom, but technology is here to connect us, to connect our different communities, to connect poor Francis, who is here in southwestern Uganda, with a whole lot of team of enthusiastic teachers, educators, and mentors back in Nigeria and across the world, for us to be connected and to share ideas, to share knowledge, to collaborate. So my other question is that, what does our community have? Or what is that one thing that every community has? If we are to continue talking about contextualizing learners. In this picture, it gives us exactly what I want to put across. Why? Because every community actually has professors. Why did I use this illustration with this old man holding leaves? I want to put across that, like it is noted, every community has professors, but we simply forget to invite them into our classrooms. And by taking the leap and a step into bringing these, our traditional professors, our local professors in our communities, we are contextualizing learning. I'll give you a life story. When I was about 8 years old, I was poisoned. I was given food poison. But my mom was not so quick to realize that I've been given food poison. And then this fateful morning, because I was poisoned in the evening, and very early in the morning, she's rushing me to the hospital. Then outside the gate, she meets a catechist. And the catechist asks her, "You have your old one, you are 8 old on the back this very early morning. Where are you headed?" And my mom tells her, "My son slept poorly. He seems to be having a challenge. I'm taking him to hospital." And then this old man who is a catechist looks at me and tells her, "You know what? You don't have to take him to hospital. It looks like he has been poisoned." And then tells her, "Go to a gentleman, so and so." Those of you who watch YouTube channel, if you subscribe and watch my videos on YouTube, you'll see this old man who cured me of poison. So that old man told him, "Go to this gentleman. He will help you get medicine for this kid." So my mom took me to this old man who gave me local herbs that got me vomiting, and I was cured of poisoning. Why am I telling this story? It's because I would love us to understand contextualizing learning. Those of us who come from rural areas in Africa, like myself, where you have to walk about 13, 15, 20 kilometers to access the nearest school or to access the nearest healthy facility, how do we ensure that we are teaching a generation of children who actually understand every plant around their house, who understand every use of each crop they grow, how medicinal it is and stuff. So that if they are faced with a sickness or a challenge, before they reach the hospital, they are able to use this herb to get first aid. Or even they are able to go ahead and research and find how this herb can be turned into medicine. An example is China, which has established a lot of research. They've done a lot of research onto producing their local medicine using local herbs grown in China. We consume most of them here in Africa. But do you want to tell me that China has more vegetation than Africa? This is food for thought for us. The topic is still contextualizing teaching and learning. And these are some of the insights on how we might want to think, okay, actually, how am I helping my learner, my student in the classroom, that their environment, that their context has resources that can enable them earn a living? I think I'm almost there. So let me also highlight quickly, still go back to the role of technology. My dear fellow teachers, technology should only and only amplify learning but not replace it. It should empower us, it should connect us, and should create impact. So at this moment, I would love to share with you some of the tools or a tool that we can leverage that is AI assisted that we can leverage to contextualize learning. This is a learning management system called OnEdu, which is an AI assisted learning that helps educators create lessons or courses within a very, very short time. But then, as an educator, you have all the authority, all the power to go into what this tool has created for you after prompting it to deliver as a lesson, to go in and edit it and contextualize it to what you would love to deliver. You can bring in your own pictures, you can bring in your own essays, and most importantly, if you have resources like notes, you can actually upload them on the platform so that all the lessons or modules or courses you create are picked from your own resources that you have created. So this is a platform that is run by an organization called MobileY. It's a Finnish organization that we have just partnered with at the African Traveling Teacher to ensure that wherever we travel and meet teachers, we are able to live with them tools that help them assist them to make their work easy, but also to contextualize learning. So I want to give you a take-home activity before I come close to the conclusion, but I would like you to think about one lesson you could teach and how could you begin with your learner's reality? How could you contextualize it as much as possible to ensure that there is reality for the learners, that the learners are able to transfer that knowledge in that lesson and use it in real life in their communities. I'll not give you time to do this activity because we don't have the opportunity to share back and forth. But I also wanted to take you through the journey of this young boy. If you remember the little boy I started with, the one who knew Europe but did not know his own village. And today, that little boy travels across Africa trying to make sure that no child graduates without understanding the beauty of their own community. And this is how he woke up one day, had his backpack on the back, and started traveling across Africa to discover its context, its naturalness, so that he can be an advocate of the African continent and its potential, and create a movement of teachers who understand Africa and contextualize learning to help our learners. And that is your one and only, the African traveling teacher, Francis Bizoza. It has been a pleasure to be with you in this session. And for me, I would love to invite you to join hands. Let's join efforts and make sure that we teach our learners about what our continent is, the potential that our continent has. And lastly, I want to note that I want to celebrate each one of you who made it to this session by researching a quote that Trevor Noah, a renowned comedian, made last year on the 5th of October on the World Teachers' Day. He made a comment very much. Why? He said, one fantastic teacher has the ability to change thousands of lives. Why? I am doing what I'm doing today because of that one, Olivia, the one you saw in the picture above, who helped me fall in love with teaching because she helped me see how I would use my teaching knowledge in real life today. So, what am I trying to say? Me and you, we have the ability to change million Africans, because when as teachers we feel empowered, our classrooms are going to transform. And that's why the African traveling teacher, my mission is to traverse the continent, looking out for inspiring teachers like yourself who show up on a daily in the classroom to ensure that their learners learn, irrespective of walking long distances, being paid little money, not affording good education for your children and healthcare, but wake up every day to show up to this land. Dear friends, colleagues, feel free to look out for the YouTube channel African Traveling Teacher. Hit that subscribe button, go on LinkedIn, connect. Let's continue discussing about how we ensure that the learners we have in the classrooms understand the potential of our continent. They can use the technology we are bringing to them and all the knowledge we are bringing to them, improve and solve problems in their communities. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Francis. Let's give him a warm TETC appreciation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great to have you. Thank you, and thank you very much. Thanks for that insightful, interactive time and impactful, I may say. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, because of our time, we might not be able to take questions because we just want to move right into the next session. So we look forward to seeing you next year in person. So we'll not have audio channeled. All right. All right. Awesome. So straight away to our next session, where we'll be looking at AI tools beyond basic lesson planning. And Kimberly Price will be taking that for us. Kimberly is an international educator, curriculum specialist, and teacher trainer for over 15 years, with over 15 years of experience in English language education across 5 countries and 2 continents. Holding a BA in English from Boise State University and an MA in Applied Linguistics from the University of Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Boston, Kimberly has dedicated her career to making language learning dynamic, relevant, and accessible. From 2022, I'm just skipping because of time, to 2024, she served in the US Department of State Virtual Educator Program, training pre-service teachers in Mexico and guiding them in the use of educational technology and low no tech strategies for their local context. Currently, Kimberly is a curriculum manager and teacher at Think Talk, where she not only teaches students in China, but also empowers fellow educators with strategies to design engaging tech enhanced lessons. A strong advocate for AI integration in curriculum planning, Kimberly is passionate about helping educators save time and spark creativity through the use of innovative tools. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Kimberly a warm TETC welcome as she leads us in the next session. Thank you. Great to have you, Kimberly.
Hi. All right, can everyone hear me? Yes. I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me or not? I'm hoping that you all can hear me. Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, now I can hear
We
everyone.
can hear you
Able to hear me?
clearly. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so thank you everyone so much for attending today. I really appreciate also the facilitators that were able to make it possible. Last year, I was able to join from the United States. This year, I'm joining you from Croatia, from Zagreb. So it's great to be part of this and to be with you all there virtually. So I would like to focus today on more than a lesson plan. How is it that we can use AI to help us in developing different tools and different deliverables that we can use within the classroom? So today I'm going to focus really more on practical strategies that you can use within your classroom. And we'll also look at examples of how you can use it, whether you're teaching students face-to-face or whether you're teaching students online. And it can be used really flexibly depending on the type of technology that you have access to within your classroom. Whether it's something where you have students with devices and they're able to use that in the classroom, or whether students have no technology at all and you don't have any technology in the classroom, but you have access to it before your lessons. We'll look at ways that you can adapt it based on also your tech setup. So I would like to share my screen. If you can just give me one moment. Okay. All right. Hopefully, can everyone see the PowerPoint that I'm sharing? I can't see all of you, so I'm assuming that everyone can see the PowerPoint on their screen now, hopefully. Yes? Okay, great. Now I can see it. All right. So one of the things I wanted to start with is really the why. So why is it that we want to use technology? Technology is best when it brings people together. And I think this really echoes what we were discussing and what we learned about in the previous session is, the idea that learning is collaborative, that we learn from other people, that learning is the most meaningful when we're able to influence the world around us. And technology can be a great tool to enable us to do that, to bring people together and to have more engagement in learning. So I just want to ask you, first of all, in the chat, or I know some of you are there in person as well, you're welcome to also speak up. What is something that you find yourself spending too much time on? So let's say you already have your lesson plan, but you want to enhance it, or if there's something that you want to add to your lesson, what is something that you find takes a lot of your time when you're doing lesson plans? So any of you there as well in person, you can speak up. I believe you have a microphone if anyone is brave enough to share, or those of you who are watching and can message in the chat.
All right,
I
good
hope
afternoon.
one comment that there's maybe a bit of an echo. Hopefully, okay.
Good afternoon. I would say practical simulation for physics teacher. So in case you don't have your lab available, but you want to make them see practical aspects of the topic in real life, simulation Thank you.
Mhm. Great. Simulations? Yes, absolutely. So being able to use it, like your example, that you may not always have access to all of the tools that you need there. So we'll talk about how you might even encounter, when you encounter this problem, some possible solutions and how AI might be able to help. I see Zainab also wrote instructional resources. Absolutely. Creating the resources that you're going to use to help deliver your lessons. That can be very time consuming. And that's exactly what we'll look at as well. Okay. Activities for students. Yes, so what can we do after we finish our piece of giving some instruction, when we turn it over to students and ask them to also actually use what it is that the target skill, that can be very time consuming. To get instructional materials teaching grammar in the English language, of course. And there's also a lot of, I think one thing too, there can be a lot of resources online, but sometimes, I'm sure many of you have experienced where sometimes searching for those resources can also be very time consuming. And so even though, especially I know from my personal experience in teaching English and grammar for a very long time, there's so many resources. You can find a lot of resources, but how do you customize it and make it really more applicable to your student and the context and their exact needs? And I think that's where AI and technology can help to fill the gap. Practical aspects, absolutely. Practical application, which, like we talked about in the previous session, learning is best when students can actually apply it to their lives, when there's actually some context that students can use to really apply the learning to their actual lives, to their communities, and to their world. Appropriate and differentiated. I love that Ms. Dorcas said differentiated. That's absolutely what we're going to talk about today. Different activities. Great. Thank you all so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. So all of these are the same things that I think many of us can have experience with. So we're going to be looking at those today. So beyond the lesson plan. So a lot of times we've looked at how AI can help us with actually developing the lesson plan, but then what? And actually, personally, in my experience, sometimes I already know what it is that I want to teach. I don't necessarily need AI to help me in developing the lesson plan. I need it more in executing the lesson plan. Like, how do I actually create the lesson plan with AI tools? Because I already have the idea in my mind. Sometimes it can be helpful when you're teaching a new course. You may not know where to start, but if you've already been teaching the course many times, but you want to adjust it more for your current learners or to modify it, then that's really where I think that AI is even more effective. In my experience, the real-time sync is, like you all said, in what comes afterwards. So I'm going to look today, we're going to be looking at 3 different topics. So enriching, differentiating, and assessing. And basically how we can use AI to design different handouts, graphics, and other tools. So this session is really more of a practical guide to help you, just based on my own experience and what I found is helpful. At any point, if you also would like to share some ideas, strategies, or your own experience in the chat, please feel free. But this is just based on my own experience and what I found. The other thing I wanted to mention too is this is basically where AI is right now. So these tools or some of the things I'm showing you are new things that I found within, let's say, the last year that the technology has expanded to. Of course, it's ever adapting. So these are things that AI could not do that well, even, for example, a year and a half ago. So we don't know, even maybe in next year's conference, it might even be a different conversation. There might be even different tools. So that's always the caveat, is that it's always expanding. And so really, to be the best teachers and to save us the most time, sometimes it helps to kind of challenge AI. Or if you see that there's an update that comes out, I only discovered these things because if I just accepted, oh, AI can't do that, I never would have discovered its true capabilities and its current capabilities. So I always encourage teachers to make sure that they're also trying different things. Maybe it didn't work for you, try again in 6 months. You might have a different experience as they're constantly updating these tools. So, like I said, today's framework today, there are 3 different areas I want to look at. One is using AI for enrichment, for differentiating, and as well as for assessment. So under enrichment, we're going to be looking at ways that you can take your lesson and things that you can add to it. So looking at different charts, mind maps, infographics, discussion activities, different project ideas that you can do. Differentiation, so looking at how you can meet the needs of the learners based on they might have a different reading level, they might have a different language level in the target language, they might have a different ability level when it comes to their skills. They might be much higher or they might be much lower than their peers. And how is it that you can teach to the whole class, not just to the middle of the class? And finally, assessment, how you can use AI to create things such as rubrics, exit tickets, self-assessment, and I'll talk briefly as well about how you can also use it for summative assessment, not just for formative assessment. I want to talk first, though, about why. So why is it? Why are these things important? So enrichment, why is it important to enrich your lesson? So I think it's important because students have different learning styles, and there might be some things that work for some learners, but then there might be another group that needs more support. You can adapt it to different learning styles or even different interests. Let's say even if you were teaching a group of students that really needed a little bit more interaction, or maybe they have some attention issues versus a group of students you might teach the same material, they might be a little bit quieter. So you can adjust to different learning styles, not just different levels, but different styles. And engagement. So like in the previous session, how we were discussing how engagement is really important, getting students to collaborate, getting them to interact, getting students to really pay attention and to see how they can apply things to their own lives. And really, like I said, learning through application. So how can they practically use this in a contextualized way, in a meaningful way that they themselves can connect? And of course, to move students through the steps of the higher order thinking skills. So from doing basic things like being able to match or being able to recognize or identify, moving them through all the steps to where they're able to apply and to create. Differentiation, like I said, it's all about meeting the needs of all students. So whether that's students who come to you with different language abilities, different knowledge, or they might have unique needs where they might have, for example, a special education program where you need to make sure that you are meeting all of the things that they need. Maybe they need some extra time, maybe they need extra support, as well as, like I said, not just the highest learners or the lowest learners, you're meeting everyone, so of all different levels. Okay, and finally, assessment. Assessment's purpose is in driving instruction. So the whole point of assessment is to know what it is that we're doing, how students are learning, and also how we can improve. So the most important too is having formative assessment. So it's critical feedback when it matters. So if you're only doing assessment at the very end, it's not as helpful because it's too late. You've already finished the unit, you're moving on. But if you're doing assessment throughout, if you're doing formative assessment, then you're getting feedback as you go along to understand where it is that students need more support. And you can make those changes immediately. You don't need to wait until the end of the unit and realize it's too late. You can actually make a difference while the learning is still occurring. Okay, so now that we talked about the 3 domains and why they're important, I want to go into sort of a demo. It's a somewhat live demo. I will mention a couple of things here. So I'm actually just going to show you the prompts that I used, where I'm not going to do it all completely from the beginning. The reason is because some of them can take a while to generate. So obviously the goal with all of these tools is to save time, but I will say that some of these things can take a couple of minutes to generate. So they're not immediate. And just in the interest of time today, I'll just show you what I have already done. If we happen to have more time at the end, maybe we can do a little bit more of a live demo. But just in the interest of time, I'll show you the prompts that I used. One thing I wanted to point out is how specific the prompt is about structure. So not just the topic, but really what it is. Like, I give it the content that I am working with. I give it the structure of the output that I want. And I also want to show you how you can sort of coach or train AI to get it to give you better results, because really the key here is in your prompting. It's all within the prompting that you're giving it. So AI is only as good as you're able to also give it feedback and instruction. And sometimes it takes a while to get to the right place. So the caveat with all of this is make sure that it really is being a tool to save you time. If you find that it's actually slowing you down, that you can create resources faster by yourself, sometimes, I'll talk about this a bit more later, but sometimes more isn't more. More technology does not always mean that it's faster. It does not always mean it's easier. It does not always mean it's better. So really a key part of that is using your judgment to make sure that it really is effective. Okay, so when you're giving input, before I go to show you, I want to mention here, when you're giving input, you need to be very specific about what it is that you are teaching. I find it best if I can actually give AI the exact material that I'm using. So you might actually be teaching something that is a very common topic. So for example, about the water cycle, about fractions, about how to play basketball, about how to write an argumentative paper. So these are very common things that students would encounter, but it really depends on the context. So for example, how old are your students? What level? Are there specific standards or education styles that that your school does that you need to adapt it to? And like I said, be specific also about the content you want produced. If there's a specific format that you want, then you need to also be specific with that. So like I said, make sure to mention the format. When you're generating any sort of graphics, mention the format and the size you want. So not just the content. Make sure, do you want it widescreen? Do you want it to be an infographic? Do you want it to be a PDF, a Word document, or some sort of image? The way that I have been able to save the most time is I can create a project, or I can save certain things to memories. This way it can keep the same style. So if I found a style that's better, like for example, when I have a class of younger learners, I want kind of more of a kid-friendly, colorful, simplistic style. But if I'm teaching older students, I might want something that's a little bit more polished and a bit more age appropriate. So I would recommend saving some of the prompts that you use that you felt were effective. Another thing you can do is actually give it an example. So if you say, hey, you made this for me before, use the same style and create the next step. So I will often do that. If I find a good example of something that AI created for me, I will actually give it back to it and say, let's do it like this. Or maybe I find another example from the internet. Or maybe I even have something I've handwritten that I want to make it a little bit more polished. Then I will even take a picture sometimes if I have the idea in my mind. So like I said, you can actually feed it information. So having some setup steps like this can overall save you time. Like with anything, sometimes there is a bit of a time investment before it can save you time. Sometimes you need to invest a bit before you can really benefit from that. So let me go back to sharing. I believe I have to switch here. And hopefully you can see. Okay, I hope that everyone can see. Let me make sure. Hopefully, yes. Okay, now I can see my screen there. All right, so here is an example of, I'll just show you what I typed in so that you can get a good idea. Like I said, it will be a somewhat live demo, but I've already gone through the steps. So just in the interest of time, I'll show you what I did. So what I actually did was I gave a whole PDF of my teaching slides. Now, you may not be teaching using, for this one, I gave it a PDF. So from this PDF, I also had created a presentation, but I gave it the actual original material. So this is actually for a real class that I'm teaching, and this is a reading and writing course. And so students have to read a short article. The target is really for them to learn English, but it's within different domains. So for example, they're practicing reading and writing in English, but this happens to be a scientific topic about solar eclipses. So I actually gave it, rather than say, I want to make a mind map about solar eclipses, AI might think that I'm looking mostly for a science lesson. But what I'm actually looking for is for students to really practice their English proficiency through using the content. But my goal is not really to teach a science lesson, it's to teach an English lesson using science. I'm not sure if I can make the screen. I hope some of you can see. If not, I will read it out for you so that if you're not able, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, is that a little bit easier to read? Yes, I hope you can see it a bit better. All right, so this is what I did. I just fed ChatGPT. I gave it the actual PDF that has the article, the comprehension questions, and the target vocabulary that I wanted students to learn. So this is, I'll just read for you what I wrote. So it's a bit long. So I said, I'm teaching a middle school, I said science lesson, but it's actually English/science. So I'm teaching a middle school lesson on solar eclipses as part of a unit on astronomy and the solar system. My class is a small online group of 6 to 10 students around age 13. I've attached the article we're using and the title. Create a mind map I can display on screen during our live class to help students visually organize the article's content. And then I gave it actually some information of how I want it to be structured. You don't always have to give it that information. Sometimes you can just say, do this, and then it will make up its own mind about how it wants to structure it. But if you have any specific preferences on what you want it to look like, you can tell it exactly. So you can say, structure it with solar eclipses as the central topic, and then branch it into what a solar eclipse is, why scientists study it, the tools and methods they use, what they've discovered so far, and key vocabulary. Keep each branch to short phrases, not full sentences, since students will be reading this on screen. Format it as a widescreen layout for screen sharing. So you can also see here, it took about 1 minute and 53 seconds, so almost 2 minutes for basically for it to generate this. And I'll show you the first thing that it generated. So why might this not be great? You might already have some ideas. Does anyone else in the chat have some ideas? Why might this actually not be a great example, this first iteration? Any ideas? So you can see here, it already has the answers. And it's kind of dark, like a dark background. So I don't actually want it to already have all the answers for students. In my mind, I actually wanted it, and maybe I should have specified, don't give the answers. Sometimes you need to specify. I actually don't want it to already say the answers for the students. I want it that me and my students together, that this will be an activity that we do as a class, or that students could do it in breakout rooms together. So I said, okay, well, this is good for an answer key, but leave it empty so students can fill it in together. Also, change it to a lighter background for easier viewing on screen, because sometimes having it, like with a darker background, it might be harder for students to see. And so then this is the second generation. So now it's updated with a lighter background, the response boxes are empty, and it's blank for students to complete together. So you know that it gives basically some more space for students to fill it in. Okay. So yes, this is very similar more to a science lesson. You can't see it here. The reason that it's really more a bit of an English or an English content ELL type lesson is in the comprehension question. So this is actually one of the higher levels. If you're familiar with Lexile levels, this is like a Lexile level 1280. And yes, you absolutely could use this as a science lesson. You could use it the same. So like I said, the class that I'm teaching is English, but also science together, but you could use it for a strictly science lesson too. It really depends on the level of your students. But if you're teaching something such as content ELL, so if you're teaching students the language through different content areas, through science, through technology, through social studies, that's the structure of my lessons, is that we're teaching English through the different content areas. So one week it's science, the next week it's a social issue, the next week it might be about cultural knowledge. Yes. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to mention is you can actually remove certain areas. So you can actually click on this, and I'll try to do it a little bit slow just in case there is any lag on the screen. So you can actually, what you can do here is you can describe the edits in the chat box. So I can actually type right here, make it blah, blah, blah. You can type it in there in the chat box. Another thing you can do is actually leave a comment. So if you want to comment, you can leave a comment there and describe the change and point to basically the exact point that there's a problem. So maybe you want to say change it to a red background, or change it to only have 3 boxes in this section. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can change it directly there. Another option is you can choose to remove certain things. So let's say I don't actually want, I think there's not enough space here for this graphic, so I can just go in there and I can ask it to remove it and then click send. I already had done that earlier, so let me just show you. So I actually told it remove the selected area, and then actually maybe I hadn't sent that part yet. So you can actually tell it to remove. You can tell it, for example, remove that part, like, and it will do that. So like I said, in the interest of time, we won't wait for it to do all of that. Let me go back to the next part. Okay. One thing I wanted to mention was, so this is what ChatGPT came up with. However, let me just show you what different tools look like and why some of them are better, because not all of them are actually so effective. The reason I chose ChatGPT for this is because it really is much better at doing these types of graphics. So let me show you some of the not great examples. So this is from Claude. Would not use it, would not recommend using it. It also filled in the answers, which is fine. But even if I asked it to remove it, it's really not great. So Claude is actually not the one that I would recommend, for example, for doing that. And then let me show you an example from Gemini. I know that there's many other tools. I know there's like many different large language models. These are just, the top 3 that I find myself using. Gemini, also not great. Even if I said use a lighter background, even if I said, add more boxes, it still really doesn't look, in my opinion, it's still not nearly as good as what ChatGPT is able to do. Okay, so mind maps. Mind maps are really great for brainstorming, reviewing, showing how ideas connect. I find them to be helpful because they're good at giving students structure to work with. Oftentimes, if you just start, for example, with an empty blank page, then students might struggle with that. So it's giving them something to at least start with, sort of like having sentence starters. So it's really better for giving them something so they're not just staring at a blank worksheet or a blank page. So I prefer to use some sort of basic example for students to start with and to grow from there. It's also really good at encouraging metacognitive skills, so getting students to really think about how is it that this connects to prior knowledge that they've had, how can they group it, how are things connected to each other, how are they different. Mind maps are really great at doing that. And yes, I see, for example, in the chat, I apologize if the network is bad. I'll be sending, I believe afterwards, they'll send all of the presentations to you as well, so you can also see this later. And yes, absolutely, English sometimes is beyond grammar. Sometimes it's learning through other fields. Using AI to create mind map, you can create one for yourself using Canva. Absolutely, you can use Canva. That's one of the things that I also mentioned a little bit later on, is that you have to choose the best tool for you. It may not be AI. Sometimes it's faster, and we're going to look actually at in a couple of slides. Sometimes you can use pre-made templates, and those might be better. Those might be faster. You have to, as the teacher, you're using your knowledge of your students, what it is that you need. And AI sometimes is more time consuming. Sometimes we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can use examples that have already been created. Absolutely. And I think what you mentioned as well, using your own original thoughts, not just letting AI create it for you. Absolutely. So because you're the one who knows your students, you have your goals in mind, but using AI as a tool. Absolutely. Very, very great points. So let me show you. Graphic organizers are also really good to use. I find myself using them for many different activities. So these are really great, especially when you have some sort of skill that you might put together. So using things that are, for example, often in reading, the way that they're used. So looking at, for example, compare and contrast, cause and effect, different sequencing events. You can use them for that. You can get either online ready versions, or you can get offline printable ones. So like I said, that's something where you can actually create it and you can print it, or you can display it. Or you might, if you just have access to a chalkboard, you might get an idea about how you want to structure it. You might have students even copy it in their notebooks. So it really depends. Like I said, everything depends so much on your own context of what it is, the technology you have access to, the goals that you have for your students, and what they need. Graphic organizers are best when you have a clear structure in mind, when it's a little bit more fixed. So you might want to do a Venn diagram or a T-chart. I want to go back to what I was saying about sometimes you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if I was going to use AI to create something like this, it's not a great use of my time. Why? Because I can already find these templates online. This is something that you can find many, many, many places where it's some sort of story elements where you're looking at the character, the setting, the plot, problem, solution, resolution. You can find a million different graphic organizers like this. I would not use AI to create something like this because you don't need to reinvent it. You can find many of these online on Canva or other resources. The way that I use it, and I'll show you, I was teaching a class on Where the Red Fern Grows, which is a novel for a 4th grade class I was teaching. And you can see here how this one is a little bit different. So this isn't exactly the same thing as the story elements. These are actually different things that I wanted students to think about. So we were looking at character development as well as theme and critical thinking. So those were really my...
Where's going on? Where's going?
From the last speaker, I bet most teachers didn't hear this. He said, data informs decision. Teachers make it. So we should learn to, when we see that we have any decision that we've seen somewhere, we're the ones that will implement it. That was all that I got. Thank you.
Beautiful. Let's celebrate her. Thank you. Let's clap now. Yeah, all right. There's a hand at the back there. There's somebody at the back. Where's Godwin, please? Okay, and then there's somebody else here, somebody here. Yeah, we're coming to you.
All right. So,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Okay, so from what I learned from the speaker, that is Mark, I don't know how to pronounce his other name, that spoke on the slow revolution. My takeaway from that, which I'm going to put into work, is where it made us understand that AI will always give you an answer, but a well-educated human will always question that answer. So going forward, I'll try as much as possible to try to introduce AI to my students and try as much as possible to also create an avenue where whatever answer they are going to be getting can be fact-checked. Thank you.
Beautiful. Let's celebrate that. That is profound. Yeah. You know, that will make the student to engage, you know, to probe the information you are getting. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Yes, so I have one hand here, and then next will be the, no, here, please. Before you, I will come back to you. We go here, then we'll go there. All right, quickly.
Okay.
I hope those online are hearing us. And please, is it possible to hear the people online speak?
Hello.
Can they speak up? All right, so if you're online and you want to speak, just raise up your hand and then we'll prompt you to do so.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful session. I actually learned.
Your name, please.
Okay, I'm Chioma
All right.
Obodo. Yeah, I learned from the third facilitator that we shouldn't ask if AI is ever going to replace us, and we should not ask if at what age should children be taught AI. Instead of asking if AI will replace us, we should rather ask, how can I use AI to become more irreplaceable? Then instead of asking, when and how do I teach kids AI, I should ask, what should a child learn before AI? And he said children should actually learn physical or practical learning before AI learning. Thank you.
Awesome. Beautiful. Let's celebrate that. Yeah. Sound response. Come this way. Bro, this way. Okay. Yeah. Follow Uno Road. I'm the one leading, I'm the conductor. Come on, this way. We take.
Thank you. Okay, from Mr. Todd, what we learned here as a group was that every learner wants to succeed. It's not our job to teach harder, but to find out what is standing in their way. That was a good one.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. These are words of marble. Please let's celebrate that. Yes, I have a hand there. She has been raising up her hand. And then after that, we'll come back to you, right?
My name
And
is.
then, oh, wow.
My name is Mrs. Yusuf. I get, especially on that from Lisa, gamification. So I plan to go home, even try it with my son, and also try it with my students.
Awesome. Please let's celebrate her. Thank you very much. Sorry, you're going to drop some kg after this. Yeah, let's go to him. So if you want to speak, just raise up your hand. Please hold on. Okay, I have one there. Number one. Who else? 2, 3 at the back, 4 here, and 5. So I'll just call you by numbers. Go ahead, please.
I'm by name Ogala Emmanuel Joshua. My take home here is AI is not here to replace us, but to assist us. And also, you are as intelligent as the AI you are using. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, let's another sound wisdom. All right, let's go to number one. Number one, right? Okay.
My statement today is that we can leverage on AI from the lesson planning to delivery to assessment and our feedback on items. All you need to do is just give the AI the right prompts and get your work smooth. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Before I go to number two, hold on, number two. Do we have anybody online? EDK. Anybody online wanting to speak? Okay, while we prep for that, but can the people online, can you confirm that you are hearing us? Are they with us on this? All right, go ahead, number two.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bankole Kayode. My take home today is, as a teacher, we should do everything to get trained at all time. And tools are not more important, but we should train the teachers. The teachers should know how to use the tools because the tools are not more important than the teachers. Thank you.
Beautiful. Sorry, I was a bit distracted, but I heard that teachers should know how to use the tools, right? Because the tools are what? Are no more important. All right, thank you very much for that. Number three, please, let's go ahead.
Who's number three?
Who is number three? At the back. See her there.
Where? Okay.
The end of the room.
All right. Beautiful afternoon, beautiful evening, everyone. Okay, my name is Yemisi Chidima Inejo, and from the first speaker, my take home is AI, ICT is not just information, communication technology, but it is an instruction context. That's AI comprises of instructions, context, and technology. And the truth is, from the whole speakers that have been, speaking to us today, I've come to realize that AI has come to stay, and we just have to get used to it, and to eradicate the fear of it replacing us is for us to learn and unlearn and get the right prompts on how to use it and use it effectively and appropriately. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, number four. Is that number four or number five? Number four. Is that you? Okay, right here in front. Okay, I have number 6 over there.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. 3 things I'm taking away from this seminar of today. 1, I'm taking home the fact that not everyone will be opportune to face a group like this to deliver lecture, but we should take our classroom as our stage and we should show up. That's 1. Then number 2, I also learned that our value should be driven by our words and not about what people see or say about us. Then the 3rd one, I learned that our tools should not determine our task, but the task should determine the tools we should use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The task should determine the tools. And I think that was the first session. Please let's put our hands together for that. Wow, I've seen a new way of clapping. Somebody's clapping like this. That's the TETC audioless clap. Since we'll be having sound challenge, you can just be doing. All right, so let's do this. Yeah. That is the Bluetooth clap. All right. Imagine you just do like this, palm, and you hear pass. You have entered the spiritual something.
Okay.
All right, so we have some comments behind Okay, as they pop up, we'll take them. From Fumikola Idowu, AI cannot replace the teacher. It works based on the given instructions. Thanks. Awesome. I have a question to you, Mr. Rotimi. I want to set you up. Now, I got information that Elon Musk is making robots. He plans to create 9 billion robots within a time span, and which is approximately 1 robot per person. Right? I don't want to go there, it's controversial. All right. Any other comments? Okay. Muhammad Balai here. My takeaway here is I'm improving what I've already built in practice. Mind mapping, and use of AI. Excellent. All right. Number 5 or number 6?
Five, I'm here.
Number 5.
Yes.
All right, Miss.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Basirat Abdurrahman, and I'm going to connect my feedback from the take-home from last year into this year. It says that a person is said to be literate in the 21st century if they are not technological savvy. So as teachers, we should acknowledge that AI is here to thrive, and it is not here to replace us and can never take the place of a teacher. Rather, it is here to enhance learning, make learning more engaging and fun. So if it is well integrated and contextualized, AI is here to help us deliver a very wholesome and worthy learning experience for our learners. So as also from the last year's edition, AI is just like a knife in the hand of a teacher. A hand in the hands of a baker can be used to create amazing dishes, while that same knife in the hands of a murderer can be used to murder a person. So AI is a tool that is here to help us dish out amazing learning experiences. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yes, you can clap. Thank you very much for that truth. All right, we can see people online.
Are you number 6?
Is somebody there?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. So, actually learned quite a lot from Kimberly, Mr. King, and all the speakers. But I would like to just share one thing that I learned, and that was during Mr. Rotimi's session. So he said something that actually got me. He said that having technology does not translate to success or impact, but really knowing how to integrate it to your teaching in the classroom. And then it also says something that we should try as much as we can to train ourselves in use of technology, learn properly before bringing it to the classroom, so that we don't get to the classroom and then we're having our pupils or our students, as the case may be the one teaching us how to learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. One last comment, if there's anyone. All right. One last comment there. And I think that should be Chioma. See, I kept the name. I know there's one Chioma here. There's another Chioma here. So we'll have Chi Square. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. This
It's actually a question. I want to ask to Mr. Rotimi. There is this mathematics formula he knows about AI. T times open bracket 1 plus C close bracket. I was really waiting for him to explain, but then I didn't. I want to be sure I understand what I saw so that because I would like to use it in school. Does that mean that when you're using AI, what you need to do is add your instructions? Because according to the board mass, you have to work on your brackets first, add your instruction and content, then multiply it by technology to make your work better. I want to be very sure before I reach the Lord in my school. Please.
This question deserves a laptop.
Okay. Unfortunately, I might not be able to share the screen, but the slides will be given and you will be able to see it. So it is T times, then in brackets you have I plus C. And at the beginning, I said the framework we're looking at is instruction, content, and technology. So if you zero out instruction and zero out content, no matter how rich you are with technology, it's zero. So if you put anything in that bracket of I and C, if you add zero, zero content plus times instruction will be zero, then times technology will mean nothing. So those two components in the bracket, which is instruction and content, are very, very necessary if you would implement impactful technology. Having all the technologies without instruction or content zeroes it out. And that's why it's zero out instruction or content and impact stays at zero. Technology is a multiplier, not an ingredient that works on its own. Technology don't work on their own. And like I said, technology is not the intervention, the teacher is. Technology is not the intervention, the teacher is. So it's necessary that we have quality instruction, professional development, training for ourselves, and then leverage on very well-defined content that has both vertical and horizontal alignment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so straight away we go into our next and our last segment. Please just shake yourself, shake yourself. Final lap, final lap. Let the Usain Bolt in you come out. You need to finish strong. All right. From classroom to global visibility. That's what we're going to be discussing now. And to lead us on this is Chidinma Ruth Sampson. Chidinma is an educator, trainer, and founder of NLI Academy, where she helps educators, service professionals, and founders turn their expertise into visibility, authority, and sustainable income. Her work focuses on LinkedIn positioning, AI productivity, professional growth, and social impact. With over 10 years of classroom experience and more than 3 years supporting professionals through training, challenges, and growth programs, Chidinma specializes in helping people communicate their value, build smarter work systems, and create meaningful opportunities through technology and personal branding. Through initiatives such as Teach, Glow and Glow Reach, AI productivity trainings, and LinkedIn visibility and monetization challenges, she has trained and supported hundreds of educators and professionals in practical, soft, and tech skills. She's also the founder of the Godliness Purpose Impact Community, a platform dedicated to youth development, mentorship, and community impact. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give Chidinma a TETC warm welcome. Please celebrate her. Great to have you, Chidinma. Because Chidima, can you hear us? What's happening?
She says she can't hear anything.
She can't hear anything. Pardon?
She's on mute.
She's muted.
Speaker is
Um, Idris. Hi, Chidima, can you hear us? Pardon? She can hear, right?
That's why they are taking it straight. But I don't, you don't too hard.
Hi. Hi, Chidima, can you hear us? Eh? Hi, Chidima, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us? You know, maybe that's headphone.
Please, can you hear me? Good evening from Nigeria.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can't hear a word.
Can you hear
So
us?
I'm wondering if I'm being heard.
Can you hear, Chidima? You are live. You can go ahead if you can hear us, please. The mic is season.
Oh, you can hear me and see me. Oh, interesting. I tried sharing my screen, but I wasn't even seeing anything. Okay. How about seeing my screen? Is it possible?
Yes, just share it. There's no share. Okay. It came up like that.
I'm sharing it already, but okay, just give me a second, please. Let me tidy up something. Give me a second. Okay, but me, I can't see it. I can't see my screen on my screen. Please just give me a second.
What's okay? Why is it not working? Why is this not working?
Should be working. Still is it not done?
Hello, hello. It's working. Why can't she hear?
And I
Idris, is this muted? Yes. Hi, Chidima, can you hear? Chidima, can you hear us? Chidima, can you hear us? No. I put up this mic. I'm using this one. Hello, Chidima.
Okay, good evening everyone from Nigeria. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry for the delay and I sincerely want to thank the organizers of this program and I want to thank Mr. Rotimi for convening this program and for inviting me. It's a pleasure. My name is Chidima Samson, and without wasting time, I will just go on to what we have for today. I really cannot see chats, but I would love for you to um, use the chat box. And if you are there physically, I was listening to the conference and I heard all of the amazing speakers. Thank you so much. Not all of them anyway, but a couple of them I listened and the insights were mind blowing. All right. Thank you, amazing teachers, for being physically on ground. And I was also listening to the take home, powerful should I say powerful lessons that you've gotten so far. So it's one thing for us to now execute what we have been learning, right? So today I'll be talking to you about from classroom to global visibility, how to use digital tools to document and showcase teaching impact. That's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So by the end of this session, you will live with a system that you can use tomorrow. You can use now. You can even use tomorrow. By the end of this session, right? You'll be living with a clear teaching impact claim, a 5-step evidence workflow, and ethical portfolio structure. We don't have time anymore, but I'm going to run through this and make it as practical as possible. You will live with a practical LinkedIn visibility system and one evidence packet ready to build. Now, I want to ask, if you are on LinkedIn, just type L in the chat box, or you can just I know you are physically present, you can answer it within yourself, right? I'll come back to that. The next question I want to ask you is, did you genuinely help a learner? Please go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. Did you genuinely help a learner this term? I'm referring to the previous term. I know that we are now on August break. We are in summer. I want to ask, so last term, did you genuinely help anybody? If you are online users, please just use the chat box and drop a yes or drop a no. Then if you are physically present, just use your notebook and just write yes. I'm trying to weigh something. Did you genuinely help a learner this term? Of course, I know you will all say yes, because that's why you're in the classroom, isn't it? Or maybe you're not even in the classroom, you're an online teacher, you are an educator. Did you genuinely, like from your heart, did you help a learner this term? Now, the next question I'm going to be asking you before we go on is, now I want to ask you the next question. Could you open organized proof within 60 seconds? For example, if I'm asking you now, do you have any organized proof of how you helped that learner and all? Can you just quickly go and look for it maybe on in your phone gallery, your folder? Do you have any organized? When I say I'm not just saying proof, but organized proof. Could you open organized proof within 1 minute? Can you just open and just say, okay, yes, I have it? Please, if your answer is yes, just type proof in the chat box. Type proof in the chat box if you could open an organized proof within 60 seconds. Now, what I mean by organized proof is one piece of evidence showing what changed, what you did, and what the learner demonstrated. I just want an evidence. Just type proof. Proof. Okay, so now I'm trying to wait. I'm sure the hands that went up the first time, or the people who typed yes the first time, are more than those who typed proof. You can quote me wrong, I don't know, but I'm just, because you can genuinely help a learner without even documenting whatever you have done, having it in an organized system. It's very possible. Now I'm going to come to now, let me give you an analogy. For example, in a classroom or in an online lesson, or wherever you find yourself as a teacher or an educator, let's say you were trying to pass a concept and your learners were not grabbing that concept. What you just did after you observed that that maybe a particular learner or bulk of your learners did not understand what you were teaching, you stepped back, you observed, and you decided to redesign the lesson. Maybe you changed the definition, you changed the concept, you just did something more symbolic, and all of a sudden those who were struggling began to understand, and they were confident enough to even explain that concept in their own words. That's a win, right? And out of excitement, you just took you snapped the scenario, or you took a photograph of what happened. Of course the photograph is in compliance with the school policy. I'm not saying that maybe you showed the learner's face or whatever. You were able to also put student privacy into consideration, but you sent that scenario or that situation in the school WhatsApp group, and you were getting comments like, oh, great lesson, amazing, that was beautiful, that was brilliant. Then days pass, birthday celebrations, um different different functions and different activities will just come and swallow whatever you've posted. Well, you want to think about it, but it's a good one that you were at least you were able to even put that on the WhatsApp group or wherever you put it for the school management to acknowledge it. Is a good one. But the question I want to ask you right now, sharing is not always documentation, right? Sharing is not always documentation. Sharing can put the information in front of the audience. Recording preserves an event or an artifact. I will explain as we go further. I'm trying to work with time. Documentation. See, you can choose to document that particular process. What changed? How did you apply the strategy? What did they learn differently? You can put those things. What was the context and the decisions that were made? The reflection. You can put all of those things together and document, right? You can document. So I wrote here, sharing is not always documentation. Sharing puts the information before an audience. I don't know if you are following me, but I can't really see chats right now. I would love to at least see that you are following and you are not tired, right? So documentation adds purpose, context, decisions, and reflection. So you have to document it properly. It's a win. Somebody said something that one of the persons who shared, he said, your classroom is your stage. It's not every one of us that would come and stand in front of people and start speaking. Your classroom is your stage. I cannot forget someone came for one of my classes and she was like, I don't have any experience, I don't even know, I don't have content, I don't know what to share. And I'm like, you are sitting on a masterpiece. You are in the classroom, you come across different learners, you solve problems, and you are not documenting it. You are not even conscious of the things you do. I think she started thinking about those things, and right now she puts out her content, solving problems, sharing her what's it, her insights. Powerful. I will go to that. I will go to that. So let me talk about visibility. Visibility. If all you just represent is you are just in your classroom, or you just say you're an educator just by word of mouth, or we don't even know you beyond the classroom, you have not started. You have not started. Visibility is stewardship. Visibility is stewardship. Now, I know that there are so many myths about visibility. It is not vanity, right? Now, we have vanity, we have stewardship, and we have service. There is vanity, there is stewardship, and there is service, right? Vanity will say, look at me. Vanity is about you want to be admired, you want to be about me. I listened to Mr. Rotimi's session early in the morning, and I really got value from that session. And of all the things I got from his session, he said whatever you are doing should be about people, right? So I'll come back to why I said that. But vanity says, "Look at me." Attention towards you is the destination. That's vanity. But you see, stewardship is you're saying, here is the proof. Stewardship is not the same thing with vanity, right? It is about useful learning, and you are saying this is something valuable to me, and I'm meant to use. I'm meant to take care of it. For example, your students' experiences, the insight you get. All right. So here is proof. It has to do with useful learning and how you are able to preserve it and share when something is useful, it means it is beneficial to people who are also looking at it, not just about you. Then we have service. Now, others can understand. They can that thing you are sharing, they can understand. They can even they can improve, they can even adapt it and even improve on it. So visibility is not vanity, it is stewardship. It has a component of stewardship and service. Now, it's good to have the light of wanting to help your learners, but the truth is you should learn how to document. Learn how to document. Visibility is the window that allows your light to travel beyond the classroom. It is the window that allows the light to travel beyond the classroom. Visibility is priceless. In this 21st century, you cannot afford not to be visible. You can't afford not to be visible. I will talk about now. You can be a hidden lamp may still be shining, but a fewer people can only learn by this light. So let me tell you something about visibility. You have to make it in a professional sense, right? It has boundaries. It has boundaries. For example, it is not fame. It is not even noise. It's not noise. It's not vanity. It's not exposing learners. I'm sure you know that even in the context of AI, you are meant to protect your learners' privacy. There is a dose of confidentiality while trying to be visible. It's not about exposing your learners. It's not about begging for opportunity. It's not about making claims that your evidence cannot carry. I wrote here, I said, performance says, look at me. Promotion says, believe in my claim. Then visibility that is professional says, inspect the evidence. There is evidence. Evidence that you are solving problems that people can even benefit from. Now, how does even this now, when it comes to improving learning, there's how you can even go about all of these things. Okay, give me a second. So visibility is a big deal, and there's an equation to visibility. Please, I want you to be writing it down as I'm talking about it. There's an equation to being visible. I've seen people who are just making noise, but there are different things to put into play. So when I was preparing this class, I was picturing jollof rice. I like food, right? I was picturing jollof rice while preparing the slide. So visibility has um, four components that leads to opportunity readiness. I wrote here skills. Your skills is one of them. Proof, another part. Visibility, positioning, everything equals to opportunity readiness. You don't even have to wait for opportunity to come before you start preparing. You should be already positioned for for the impact that you know that you create. Now, skills can create value. Proof can earn trust. Of course, you show me what you've done so far and all that. Visibility enables discovery. It enables discovery, and positioning explains the relevance of the discovery. So together they create opportunity readiness. Now, each gap creates a different problem. For example, if you have skills and you do not have proof, it is difficult to verify. I am a great teacher. How do we know? It's difficult to verify. Now, proof without visibility is difficult to discover. Visibility without positioning is difficult to understand. I'll talk about positioning as we go further. And positioning without skills is difficult to sustain. So you need all of them to work together. Now, let me ask you, what do you want your name to mean? I always hear, I am just a teacher. I am just a teacher. You are not just a teacher. Now, I want to ask you, if you believe that you are not just a teacher, use the chat box, drop different things that you represent. Think of yourself in the classroom or wherever space you find yourself helping learners. The different things that you do for these learners. You are a counselor. You prepare assessments. You prepare lessons. I want to see in the chat box. I might need to see that later, but just drop in the chat box or write it down in your notebook. I want to really know, what do you want your name to mean? I want to beg you from today, avoid putting the word just in whatever profession that you think you want to be identified with. You are not just a teacher. If doctors cannot say I'm just a doctor or I'm just a lawyer, then why are you saying I'm just a teacher? There are different solutions that you bring, that you provide. I would love to see in the chat box so that we'll go to our next positioning statement. Now, in the next slide, because you see, you are a solution provider, but then again, you must be specific. That's where positioning comes in. For you to be globally visible, you must understand this framework. You must understand positioning. I'm going to be saying it, and so that you can even learn from it. So now, uh, for example, I have this. I help learner move. I help. Who do you help? Do you help anxious key stage 2 to 5 mathematics learners move from? What do you help them move from? What problem do you solve? And which results do you ensure that they get? Through which method? Through which method? I'll give an example with this specific language that I've written here. I'll give an example. So now, for example, let's say you are a literacy teacher, right? I'm trying to tell you how you can draft your positioning statement. You must be able to involve at least a specific learner, the problem you solve, the results you help them get, and the method through which you use to deliver that method, that result. So I have here, I help beginning readers move from guessing to decoding through explicit phonics routines, right? If you're a math teacher, I'm just giving an example. I want you to be able to define your positioning statement. That is the roadmap to global visibility. I help anxious learners explain their reasoning through worked examples and low stakes practice. These are examples that I'm giving. So it's good for you to name the learner. You can use your notebook now or use the chat box. Name the learner that you help, the movement and the result and the movement and the method rather. Now, let me say something about global visibility. If you are here, there are different platforms, but me, I'm focusing on LinkedIn today. If you are here as a teacher and you're not on LinkedIn, that's the first step. Please go and open a LinkedIn account. Very important. And don't say, what do I want to be sharing? There are different things to share. There are different things to share. You can turn daily teaching into durable professional evidence. There are different things to share, right? It's good for you to now. There's a method I was able that I can't even start explaining because of time. It's called the trace method. It's called the trace method. Teach intentionally. You can turn daily teaching into durable professional evidence. Teach intentionally, right? Record ethically. If you are recording, record ethically. Of course, you should preserve the learner's privacy. You don't have to add the direct details. Record ethically. And please analyze whatever you are using honestly. Analyze honestly. Now, the goal for this is see, before you even start teaching, if you want to start being conscious about documenting your experiences in the classroom for global visibility, decide what improvement will look like before the lesson. Please decide it. What should learners understand? What should they do? What's preventing the progress? What method will you deliberately try? What observable change will count? Very important, right? The next one is, I think, okay, the next one is capture the smallest useful evidence trail. Capture the smallest useful evidence trail. It's good for you to see, just be conscious, be intentional about this. We are getting to portfolio. Be intentional about this. Now, before, have baseline or starting points. Now, during the lesson, be very intentional about the method, the result, the resource, and the feedback you are going to be using. And after then, after the learner's performance, also document it, right? And you want to also reflect, how has this worked? How has this instruction worked for my learners? Now, let me say something. Um, there's I'm trying to tell you that for global visibility to be very effective, proof is part of it. We've mentioned a couple of components for proof, right, and for global visibility. Now, there's a ladder that I want us to consider. If you are trying to prepare a portfolio or you're trying to build global visibility, don't forget to put these things into consideration. The activity is very, very important. What did you do? What you did? Activity. The artifact, what did you create or use? Like that example I gave to you about the teacher who discovered that her students were not getting the concept in the class. There was a redesign. That redesign is the artifact, the things she did. Now, the outcome, what changed? All right. Then you want to also look at why the evidence supports your claim, whatever you've said there as what you did. Then you want to also check what you learned and what you would improve. um for example, I taught equivalent fractions. Maybe, yes, you are trying to use a case study of fractions that you have taught. I taught equivalent fractions. So how did you do it? What did you create to teach it? You redesigned visual comparison tags. I think I saw the last speaker talking about ChatGPT and mind map and the likes. Thank God that AI has come to support learning, and it's good that teachers should learn how to use it ethically, right? So you can use that to even design a lot of things and all that. So I redesigned visual comparison tags. The next one is, now I'm trying to tell you what the proof ladder is for. Let me mention it again so that you understand what I'm trying to say. Now we have the activity, we have the artifact, we have the outcome, we have the attribution, and we have the reflection. The activity is, I designed fraction. Sorry, I taught fraction. The artifact was, I redesigned visual comparison tags. The third one is that's the outcome. 8 out of 10 learners justified answers correctly. The fourth one is the attribution. So comparable prompts used before and after. And the reflection is retain visuals and you added vocabulary support, right? Let me tell you something about artifacts. We're trying to build a portfolio. You need to build a portfolio. You need to build proof. You need to build proof for global visibility. You need to build proof, and it must be intentional. Please give me a second. Let me see. Do I have any notice? Oh, okay. Well, I'm not seeing any comments yet. I'm not seeing any comments. Thank you for that. Okay, but I just need to open. Okay. Okay, let me just finish up. It's almost time. Please keep dropping your comments. I really like to see that the class is interactive, and I know that the physical teachers are the ones on ground can also hear me, right? So okay, let me tell you. See, it's not, see, when I say proof, it's not about just snapping, having screenshots here and there. It has to be clearly labeled. I'm sure if you go to the supermarket, the labeling. Okay, so you can even see two bottles. You can see. Let's say you get to a session where you need to get a particular drink or a particular liquid for a particular purpose, and you see two bottles. One is clearly labeled, the other one is not labeled. The other one that is clearly labeled has the things that could be achieved with it, has clear descriptions and everything, that has the bottle content. But the other one that does not have any label, the content is there, but you don't even know what the content contains. That is the same thing with your proof. And it's not about just snapping and just putting, or you just snap and keep it randomly. Please, you have to be organized with your proof. You have to have, if you to have a folder where you get to label these things so that you can easily look for them. You know, I've told you earlier, I asked a question earlier, if in 60 seconds you can find um you can find documented proof of the learner that you of the learners you help, the what you applied, the strategies you applied, and all. If that thing can be achieved, then you are doing well with your visibility for now. So please, very important. So if you must have an artifact, it is a snapshot, yes, right? But without the caption, people may not even see the movement, but they would understand. But they will not see. They will not even see. They might see the movement rather, but they will not understand the meaning. They won't understand the meaning of what the artifact is. So evidence becomes credible when the claim, context, and artifacts agree. When you are saying something, all of them have to agree, right? Evidence becomes credible when the claim, the context, or the artifact agree. Now, there are 5 families of proof that you must combine. All right. The first, now, if you are preparing your proof, for example, you are building an educational portfolio so that you can have these things proper documented and you can use them for visibility or whatever. You must understand that planning is important. Planning is important. So your lesson and your assessment design, you plan these things, very important. You must practice. All right. And learning too. So you will add whatever practice that you've used. You will add the learning, the work, the progress of the pupils or the learners in an anonymized method, right? The feedback and the testimonials, these things are very important. You don't need to even include their, what's it called, their identity. Very important. You must also take into consideration the training that you applied in practice. So I'm trying to rush this to tell you practical ways that you can start to show up on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is a global platform and it is very, very important. It's a global platform, very, very important. So you want to look at, so I'm please give me a second. So yes, you might be saying, I don't even know where to start from. Begin with 3 tools you already have. Begin with 3 tools you already have. If you don't have any tool yet, you can now go back to the classroom or whatever learning environment you find yourself and be intentional about this. So you can begin with a structured folder. If you know how to use Google Drive or whatever, where you can organize your information, start from today. Not just screenshotting, or don't just screenshot testimonials. Have a place where you put these things and you clearly label them. All right, very important. So have a structured folder, have a simple document or a slide portfolio, have a professional proof that points to, a profile rather, that points people to the proof. Very important. Very, very, very important. It's good for you to, these are evidential, these are things you should start building. Coming. So let's say, for example, if you're not on LinkedIn, you can start to put these things. Start with having a professional headshot, get a LinkedIn banner, you can use Canva, you can use AI to do this. But I'm trying to tell you first of all that after you've discovered your positioning, after you've discovered who do you help, how do you help, what do you help them solve, what method do you use, after you've discovered these things, that's when you can even go on LinkedIn and start to talk about these things. So you have those ones clearly positioned, clearly put together first of all. Then you at least have a profile picture that is maybe a headshot that is professional. Thank God that you can even use, if you don't have budget to go to the studio, you can use AI to do this. That would also look like you. Get a LinkedIn banner. All of these things should align with your positioning, right? Then there are things to start to put out there. There are things to start putting out there. It can be one strong teaching case study. It can be so for example, the other day somebody was explaining how she made her learner understand grasp a concept. It can be a case study. It can be a useful classroom resource that you want to share. These are the ways to build visibility. It can be a useful class resource. You can just share. For example, this class you've attended now, there are different AI tools that were shared. That were shared, right? You can pick one and you can even teach with it, even on LinkedIn. These are the ways you become visible, right? You can even it can be one article that you've written. You can publish one publication. It can be a talk. It can be a talk. So it can even be a landing page. You can build a professional landing page. You can use AI. There are different tools you can use for this. You can use Canva. Very important. So your profile is very, very important. If I go to your profile now as a teacher on LinkedIn, what would I discover? Very, very important. So your headline, your about section, even your experience is a big deal. See, we have gone past it's an era that you are just known in the classroom. We have gone past that era of I'm just a classroom teacher. I'm not, yes, you can be in the classroom and still be globally visible. You can be in the classroom and be globally visible. Very important. So please, your headline is very important. Your headline creates meaning. At least there are about 120 words of what you represent. I can show you mine now. I don't know if I can share my screen. I will just show you mine. But if I share, I'm not seeing what I'm sharing. I have not shared mine. You can just check me out on Chidima Samson on LinkedIn. And it's not even hard to sign up if you're not on LinkedIn. You can check me out there. I try to be intentional about my LinkedIn presence. Very important. I'm sure even Mr. Rotimi, the convener of this program, is also very intentional about his LinkedIn presence. Very important. So headline creates meaning. There's an about session. It creates context. Experience connects responsibility with evidence. Featured session. If you go to LinkedIn, can I share my screen? I doubt if I can. Let me try. Okay. Instead of talking and talking. Okay. Let me confirm whether my screen is being shared. Please, can you see my screen? Use the chat box. You can type an S, and I think I want to even. Can you unmute your? Can I hear from the physical teachers? Can you see my screen, please? Can you see my screen? Okay, so this is my screen, and just in case you are wondering what is global visibility? Global visibility is also being on LinkedIn, and when you come on LinkedIn, you have to be intentional. You have the skills, right? Now, these skills, you have to put proof, right? Skills, proof, visibility, positioning, all of these are going to make you opportunity ready. A teacher who is I'm tempted to cite an example from the virgins, the 10 virgins from our holy book, right? What distinguished the 5 foolish virgins from the wise virgins was planning. I want to believe that after this session, you are going to leave here, plan. You don't have to wait for You don't have to wait till when there's a need before you start to do this. You go and plan it, settle down so that you can be ready. Success is when there's opportunity and there's preparation together. So this is my LinkedIn profile, right? And this is what I do this is my LinkedIn banner. Let me confirm if you can see my screen, please. Please, can somebody tell me, can you see my screen? You can unmute and let me hear. Can you see my screen? I think I would love to
Yes, we
hear
can see your
instead of
screen.
just
Yes,
talking.
yes.
I would love to hear, please.
Can you
Instead of just
hear?
chatting.
Yes, we can see your
Can you see
screen.
my screen?
Eh? We can see your screen. Can you hear us?
Can somebody unmute and tell me if my screen can be seen? Okay, I'll just go ahead. But I really need feedback. So this is my LinkedIn banner. This is my LinkedIn banner. So you can create your LinkedIn banner. Very important. And everything has, but I said earlier that you have to have a clear positioning. And your positioning has to do with you identifying the problem you solve and the specific learner that you help that problem to solve. That you help the problem, that you solve, and the learners you solve problems for, rather. Right? So this is the LinkedIn banner. This is my headshot. You need to have a headshot for you to be to at least look professional. Have a headshot. If you know you don't have budget to go to the studio, you can do this with AI as well, but it has to also look like you, right? So if you scroll down, you will see my headline. This is my headline. It's just this is my headline, right? Okay. This is my headline. If you go down, there's an about session. It just talks about what I do in context. There's an about session. You can read through. Your LinkedIn is your digital CV, right? Then there's a featured session. This is where, you know, there are different kind of proofs, but I'm talking about LinkedIn today. So your proof can also be in your featured session. Now, I know that you don't have to show your learner's identity, but you can as well tell a story around it. You can cover their faces. You can choose not to disclose their real names and just pass your message. I have a featured session here. If you check the feature, you will see a couple of things I have done, and I had to put them intentionally so that when anyone visits my page, they are looking at it immediately, right? And even the contents I create, they are in line with the things that I do. They are in line with my positioning. All the content of my positioning. Very, very important. So let me wrap up. Let me wrap up. I've not been able to see where to check your comments, but that's fine. I think he's here. We can see your screen. You're okay, okay. The profile is on. Your LinkedIn. Thank you. I think I like this. I'm liking this now. Thank you. Comment. Your LinkedIn is your digital CV. That's very correct. You want to be a global educator and you are not on LinkedIn, and it's to just sign up. And like I said, if you follow all I've just said, it will be very nice. That's a very great point to start. So you need your evidence. You need action. And let me say something before I wrap up. Trust is easy to build than to repair. Trust is easy to build than to repair. Please, I want to you can start to build. Thank you. You can start to build your first evidence packet. If you don't have, start building right now. Thank God that this is summer break. Start building. Start building. For example, you are in your evidence packet, you are saying what's your learners need. What's the need first of all? What's the method used to solve this need, right? What's the method used? What's the change I observe? What's the privacy action? What's the best platform? Now, so don't even start with any post yet. Start recording. In summary, start recording your process, and please let the world meet the teacher your learners already know. Let the world meet you're not trying to invent another teacher. Meet the teacher that their learners already know. Very important. So it's good for you to teach. In summary, please teach, record, reflect, and share. As you are teaching, be teaching with intention. Record and also reflect, and you share. Let your evidence travel. That's how to build global visibility. You don't need a very big platform. You can start with that small classroom that all right, and you have to be intentional. Your work deserves a record. Your learners deserves dignity. So I'm going to stop here and maybe take a few questions before we wrap up. But in summary, just go and be on LinkedIn. But then again, be intentional about documenting your process. Document your process. Very, very important. You don't need to invent an online personality. You need to document. I wrote it down here. I had to write it on my book. You need to document the teacher you already are. Improve the teacher you are becoming. Make the evidence easy for the right people to discover and trust.
All
That's
right.
what positioning is about.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Let's celebrate her. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear us. I doubt she can hear us, but we really want to appreciate you. I think it's time that we all have visibility, right? And this one, you have to action it, you know? And the best time to start is when? Beautiful. The best time is now. Just do it. Nike.
Okay, sorry. Did I also talk about the
No,
system you can
I
use
think we have
while you are
wrapped.
even starting out on LinkedIn? Let me talk about the system. So I wrote there's a 30-day.
Sorry, I think because of time, we cannot continue the session. All right, we're wrapping today's session. Obviously, we are continuing tomorrow, same time. Please, let's not move. There's some information we need to give you. Please don't move. Don't leave. Just hold on. I would like to, let me invite Rotimi. Mr. Rotimi, please come quickly for all of the communication.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for today. It's my wife. I'll call you back. Thank you, everyone, for today. We will continue tomorrow, and the buses will also be available in the morning. We will try as much as possible to ensure that by tomorrow we close by 5 so that we have that time to also go back. I want to wish you all the best, and I hope that whatever you have learned today, you are able to put them into practice. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Certificates. Tomorrow, take it as
by tomorrow, we'll be talking about the certificates.
All right. Have a blessed evening. Have a rest. See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you again. Yeah. So you're busy. Okay. Do you mind the picture? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, sorry, Mr. Anthony. All right. Thank you.
Ah, okay, so I need to take picture. No, wait, I say I go send that to her now. So from one month. Since
Thank you, man. Hi, Uncle.
amazing work. He was looking for you on Sunday church.
Yeah, I didn't see
I saw your wife and I said, okay, maybe it's supposed you have gone back.
No.
Oh,
Aga, we need better mic tomorrow. This mic. Yeah, there's so many interference. Oh, hey, you know, I'm going with you. I don't have anything here. Don't have anything. Just a short one.